I suppose something that's been pretty present for me in the last few months is just this idea of resistance, which is something I've spoken about at length so many times. I've read The War of Art 10 times. You should read, by the way. And yet still I was doing it. Still I was giving into it in so many ways. And for me, I've discovered that the resistance, not only is it a daily battle, you know, the war of art, the form that it takes for me is that whenever I've made a decision in a certain direction, after a few steps along the path, the mind comes in and starts, creates a crossroads for me, an imaginary, arbitrary crossroads. For example, I start doing videos like this when I'm just talking into the camera. Then after a few days or a week, the mind comes in and is like, that's not good enough though. What we should do is we need to do something more elaborate. Do these day in the life videos where we go and have, you know, these experiences, genuine experiences with people from the other end of the socio-economic spectrum. For example, the Indian fishermen. Go hang out with them for the day and learn more about the human condition. So I started with this one idea of, I'm just going to record some videos into the camera. And then after a week or some action, the mind then creates this crossroads. And as a result of this crossroads that's entirely created by the mind, the action on the first thing, which was the momentum I had at the beginning, stops. Because I'm like, oh, well, now I've got a better thing to do, a better idea. And so now I'm going to focus on this new thing. And then A stops. And then I do B for 2 weeks, which takes a lot longer. And then in the end, it turns out that I don't think that's the real thing either. So I then have lost all momentum in general with making these videos. And that's what I've noticed time and time again that it happens. It's like, I'll start taking action, I'll get to a crossroads, I'll stop doing the first action, and I'll start the new action. But the new action won't be as consistent because it might be something more complex. And the mind tries and does this every single fucking day of my life. It's actually crazy. Every single action that I take, every single thing I do, the mind, the resistance comes in with doubt, I suppose is what it is. And doubt comes from the word duo, which means two. Doubt comes from when there's two options, when there's confusion. And that's exactly what happens to me. Like this, the resistance comes in the form of doubt. Every time I try to do something, it's like, is this the right decision? Am I actually going the right path? Am I making a mistake? Am I going to make the wrong choice? What if I spend blah, 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 blah? And then this doubt, covered in beasties, creates an action because the doubt makes me doubt myself, doubt the original plan, thus creates an action. This inaction then creates, you know, all the negative emotions that come with the resistance, which is, you know, a bit of depression, low self-confidence, low self-esteem. Can I ever really stick to anything? Have I ever really done anything in my life? All the classic tropes. And then the cycle continues again and again and again until you see that this is what's happening. Yeah, and that doubt about even whether this is the right thing to be doing, you know, whether I should be making content, whether I should be making videos. And then because I've been on this spiritual path, you then start to doubt the intentions or the motivations behind every action. Like, is this coming from a genuine, authentic place? Is this the intuition that's guiding me, or is this just the ego that's trying to drive me, that wants to be high status and, you know, have everyone fucking gathering around and listening to me talk? And then that feeds its own sort of cycle of doubt and cycle of resistance. And it all is just absolute confusion, murky. It's just this fucking cesspit of stagnant, murky water. And the only way to get through it, I've noticed, is just action in any direction, consistently. In a way where something I would even call like retard action, idiotic action. Action where if you were someone who is doing this mechanically, who's a complete retard and just looked at people on YouTube, they'd be like, I'm going to make a video a day. And someone that took that action, no matter what their fucking IQ or how amazing their videos are, you know, a year later would be much further along that path than I would be if it was this kind of like, maybe it's this, and maybe it's this, and maybe it's that. So idiotic action on a consistent basis, I think, is the solution to beating the resistance. So that's one thing I've been thinking about. Yeah.